Welcome back to the Body Pod, everyone. Today we are interviewing Troy Taylor, who is the Senior Director of Performance Innovation at Tonal. So welcome, Troy. We're so excited to have you and to have you introduce what Tonal is exactly to our audience. But why don't you give us just a little background about you and your role at Tonal?
Yeah, absolutely love to. Number one, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on. Number two, my background pre-tonal will go back a quick ways, but is mainly in elite sport. I was a sports scientist, an exercise physiologist, later a director of sports science and a high performance director for Olympic teams. Over between about the early 2000s, I'll date myself, but I went to 7 Olympic Games, worked with about 500 Olympians, 50 Olympic medalists across Team GB, Team Canada, and Team USA. So sort of did this sort of elite sport. Really, how do you help the best people in the world who are already like 99.9 percentile and try to help them be a little bit better? Yeah. And so did that for 20 or so years. As part of that role, the last job that I had in elite sport was the high performance director for the US Olympic skiing and snowboarding team. So I ran the Olympic team for the Pyeongchang 2018 Olympics. Wow. Part of that role is seeking out new innovations, new technologies. Mm-hmm. How are we going to help people get on the top step of the podium? And as part of that, I do a lot of forward research in what's coming next in human performance, whether it's on sort of the training science side or mental performance or coaching science, all these different areas. Started working with Silicon Valley, and that came across Tonal as part of that sort of investigation. And then in 2021, after getting Tonal for one of my elite athletes, Michaela Schifrin, in the lockdown during COVID, we got Tonal there. I tried it, I loved it, and in 2021, I came and joined the team to head up the performance innovation team. So nearly 3 years ago.
Wow,
that is impressive.
Okay, and I have to connect you two because I think on your LinkedIn or maybe Instagram. I mean, I've been looking you up everywhere. Are you in Park City, Utah right now?
I am in Park City, Utah. I got snow outside my door. I've done 6 months.
I live in Park City.
That is.
I'm dying. Wait, you live here?
Yeah, I live here full time.
This is amazing. I am so excited about this.
Yes, like only about 10,000 people live here year round, so there's not a whole bunch of us that are here constantly.
Well, I'm actually in Orem, Utah right now at a Marriott.
There is nothing wrong with Orem, Utah. That's a great place to be.
So we're all in Utah right now, in different. Well, you two are in the same place, but anyhow, I just found that interesting. So I also, by the way, I love your name. I feel like your name is like a celebrity, like Troy Taylor.
Totally is, or like the quarterback of some like
amazing team
that won the Super Bowl or something.
Yeah, unfortunately, no esteemed athletic career or a superstar athlete or film star to go with. So at least I got the name going for me. At least I got one part.
Yeah, you do, 100%. So I came across Tonal, and I don't even know exactly when. I was living back in New Jersey, 2017 through 2020, and I don't even know how I was introduced to it, but I was obsessed from the moment I saw it. I flew because at the time there was only like a pop-up shop in Los Angeles.
Yes.
I flew to Los Angeles to demo it because I was like, this is what I've been wanting. Because I lived at the time in New Jersey in a small house and I didn't have a lot of space. And so this solved all of my dreams. So I flew out there, tried it out. And then when I came back, it must have been 2019. I didn't purchase right away because I knew we were moving back to Boulder.
I don't think we had one in 2017. I don't think we were even on the market.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it must have been 2019. And then 2020, we moved back and I bought it for my house in Boulder because I knew that's where we were permanently. But it is, why don't you explain it first and then I'll just go off all my questions that I have.
Yeah, you're pretty familiar, so I'll give the technical advice and then you can explain it. But if you think about traditional resistance training or weight training, right, there's a mass, whether it's a barbell, a dumbbell, a cable column with stacks of weight. and you push against gravity to lift that weight, and that causes tension on the muscles, which does all these great adaptations, which you guys talk about a lot, and we could talk about in detail around that. Rather than using a mass-based system, Tonal uses essentially electromagnetic motors. So we create resistance through, the easiest analogy I think is fine is thinking about, Tesla from a car. Rather than having an engine, it uses electric motors to create power, and you can do crazy things like ludicrous mode with Tesla. You can kind of do the same thing with Tonal. It creates resistance via electromagnetics. Yeah. So that allows a few things, and we can go into them, but it's a cable column. It's a dual stack cable column. So it's got arms that go out and wide and round, and you can do in 200 different positions. It's on my wall behind me. That's why I kind of look behind. But it's 5 inches wide, deep when it's not kind of mounted. So it's small, space saving, fits on your wall. And we, off of that motor, we get a lot of data, right? And we can monitor things in real time and change things in real time. If you want to change between a set, you have to load up the weights, load down the weights, pull them off, those types of things, pick up different dumbbells. We just do that with essentially technology. And so we can adapt the weights in all these cool ways. And there's a TV screen and a touch screen. And so you can bring coaches to life. You can bring sort of interactive feedback and form feedback and those types of things. So that's my technical explanation. I'd love to hear yours. Did I miss anything out, either of you that have?
Oh my gosh, no, but it's for the clients, because I get asked this all the time, and I run a lot of groups with thousands of women in them. And every time somebody brings up, can I do your program on Tonal? Make it a custom program. And I'm like, oh yeah, Tonal's amazing. And then there's what's Tonal? Tonal? What's Tonal? So really, it's like a cable machine. This is what I always say, and I'm killing it. You said it well, so much better. But the cable machine, it's mimicking that. Obviously, the weights are different, as you explained, but with zero footprint, or very little, because it's on your wall. It's super sleek. It looks like a TV. It's very modern looking, but how I always say, because then people are like, oh, it's like the mirror. And I'm like, no. The mirror doesn't have arms and can't do any of the thing. It's just like, a TV where you're doing weights with somebody just like you would on YouTube or wherever. So the Tonal has been a game changer for me. I mean, I actually reached out really early on. I mean, I guess when I found out about it, maybe it was 2019-ish. And I was like, oh, I want to start a gym, and I want all the Tonals in there. So it's like a group workout. And they were like, we're not really set up for that yet.
We should talk, because I keep pushing that internally too.
I'm like, because and this is such a safe way. I mean, when I'm trying to get, number one, gym intimidation for women, especially what I work with, which is over the age of 40, and who Laura and I talk to on our podcast. It is a real thing. And I just had this on my Instagram the other day. I was at Vasa here in Utah, and I was intimidated. I went in and I was like, where's the hack squat? And then I didn't even the leg press. It was a different leg press. And I was like, how do I I know how to use these. So It's real. And a lot of women are just like, I get, Haley, that strength training is important, but I'm never going to walk into a gym and go grab a barbell with the dudes. And so this provides everything you need at a home. If you're going to work out at home forever, you have to have a Tonal.
I agree.
Sorry, I'm just saying it.
I personally concur, but I'm wearing the show logo, so I'm slightly biased. But we surveyed hundreds, thousands of our members. Top 3 reasons that the women didn't want to go think. The one, I need expert guidance, right? I want coaching, that kind of things. Number 2, gym intimidation was that kind of thing. And number 3 was I've historically been more focused on cardio, and I didn't realize the value. And I think number 3, we are chipping away at, you guys, Stacey Sims of the world, we are all collectively, I think, changing the narrative around women in strength. And so I think there's an understanding and need, but the other 2 still exist. How do we provide expert guidance, whether it's in your home through a Tonal, whether it's in personal training or remote situations? And that gym intimidation is real. And so how do we break that down? How can we provide a solution? either in your home, maybe a dedicated female-only tonal studio in the future, which we collaborate
Yes.
on. Or like, I'm just into fitness and into resistance training. I think every gym needs to be thinking about how they address these barriers and gym intimidation anyway. So I think that's
a million percent. So this is the thing too. So again, the majority of my programs, half of the women are working out at home, and they're always like, well, Haley, am I going to get the same results, with very, very, very limited equipment, a few set of dumbbells, resistance bands. And it's hard because I never want to discourage anyone.
You can make progress. Can you make optimal progress? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right?
I always say there's a runway.
For sure.
And the runway will end. Like if you're totally new, yes, you can get these benefits, but the runway will end. And then, they'll come to me and they're like, my body composition isn't changing. I'm not gaining any more lean mass, which is what I need. And so I always give them the steps. I'm like, these are the basic things that you need, at least for my programs, like the very basic. Start somewhere. And then a TRX, huge fan of TRX too. That's like the next step. If someone is saving up for something like a tonal, but I'm like, the tonal, if you never want to go to a gym and you want to get the results that you're coming to me for, you have to have something there. And it's either a massive cable equipment that most people don't have room for in their house.
No, it's huge.
Or it's a tonal that's going to do the exact same thing. And I have to say, the tonal is actually, and I don't know what the official data says on this, but it's harder per pound than like a cable machine. Because I'm like, people always be like, I can only do 5 pounds on tonal, but I can do like 10 for the same exercise on. I'm like, no, it's not the same. It's harder. And I feel like it works because it's in like both directions. And let's talk about some of the features outside of just like the regular cable. You turn it on, you pick an exercise, you're demoed through it. What other features does it have to add variety?
Yeah. So number one, you said, is it harder? So we actually commissioned a research study with High Point University because we heard that in our membership. Like it feels heavier than the same equivalent mass on, say, on a bench press or something like that. And so we commissioned a study a couple of years ago. Essentially, they did a bunch of people, tested them on free weights and tested them on tonal, estimated their 1RMs, and then looked at EMG and some surface EMG muscle activation type stuff. And the long story of that short, it comes at about 20 to 25% heavier on tonal than it is on a free weight for most exercises. It does vary a little bit. And there's two things that really play into that. Number one, when you're lifting with a mass, right? I go back to my Newton's laws, but when an object is moving, it wants to keep moving. That's how people Olympic lift. They can get under the bar quickly. Electromagnetics, when you're not pulling it, it stops like very quickly. Inertia, momentum is much smaller. So in free weights, when you're lifting and you're putting a bit of speed into that bar wants to keep moving up relatively quickly. Tonal, much, much less so. And so you have to exert through the full range of motion, tension through your muscles through the full range of motion. So it feels heavier in that kind of motion. The second component is related to stability, actually, and the way that the cables act. And there's much more, the stabilizer muscles, if you think about sort of shoulder press or bench press when you're further away from the handles, stabilizing during those movements, it becomes really important. It's actually cleared up my personal shoulder health. I used to have a lot of shoulder impingement, benched too much, didn't kind of thing. Since doing that, all the little muscles around my shoulders have kind of, developed a lot more as I work on stability. So those are the two reasons why tonal feels heavier, or most likely, not all the time, but in most scenarios. Features. So yes, you can do normal mode. You pick it up, you go, you lift. Before you pick it up, one of the things on a cable machine that's kind of tough is often getting into position, right? You want to get into cable flies, or you want to get into something, and like the weight's kind of heavy. I can't even get the first rep to get into position. Bluetooth on, off. Right, you can kind of switch the weight off, so there's no weight on the arms. It's really easy to get in position. Boop, switch it on, and the weight comes on automatically. Secondly, once the weight is working, we can change it because it's resistance-based or motor-based resistance. We can manipulate that resistance. So your audience probably knows, but we're stronger in the eccentric fashion than we are in concentric, right? Muscle lengthening about 20-25% stronger on average. We can overload that accentuated eccentric loading, AEL, with the touch of a button. So you want 20 pounds when you're doing something concentrically, like the top part of a deadlift going from the floor to your waist. Once you're going down eccentrically, we could make it 10-20% heavier. So you can overload the eccentric within a rep. You can add chains. You've probably seen them in the gyms. You probably use them, like, bit of gym intimidation right there. If you want to add chains to the bar, it doesn't get more intimidating than that. But it's a touch of the button that says the word chains. A little less intimidating. You push it, and now it's lighter when it's at the bottom, heavier when it's at the top.
Yeah.
And so you can manipulate resistance like that. And then the third thing that I personally use, because I work out at home and often I'm in my basement and no one else is around, or my wife's upstairs on a Zoom call, is spotter mode. So when you're working out at home, one of the things I think people are generally concerned, what happens if I fail, if I get stuck under the bar, if I, get hurt or something like that. We have an AI algorithm that essentially measures your struggle. So as you start to struggle, if you really come to a stop, it does take a while, but I think it will kick on and it will reduce the load at 1 pound increments until you can move the bar again. So if you don't move the bar, it'll go all the way down to no weight at all. Or if you just struggle and want to grind out a forced rep, you can kind of push a couple of extra forced reps out there, but you never have to worry about being stuck. So those are like some of my favorite features that are above and beyond.
That's insane. It's like the smartest piece of gym equipment. Oh
Yeah, no, it's great. And that's actually why I have a client that I work with one-on-one in person, and she's always like, we'll get on the hack squat. And she's like, Haley, get closer. And I'm like, you're not even slowing down yet. Like, I know when I'm going to need to spot you. You're having a conversation with me. We're at rep 2. But I think that really is because, especially women in this age group, if we get injured, it takes a hell of a lot of time to recover, especially these tendinopathies when women are getting them from improper form, improper lifting, all of those things. It just takes a long time. And so I have loved that feature because no one is ever going to go, or my audience isn't going to go super ego lift crazy because everyone's like, I don't want to get stuck under a bar, or, so that feature is huge. I think that's.
We do need to work close proximity to failure to make the stimulus, to make the adaptations, right? Yeah. So it's this kind of double edge. Hey, I don't want to get hurt, but I do know that I need to work relatively close to failure. Maybe I don't need to go to failure. I'm not suggesting everyone does, but I need to be in that 5 to 1 rep from failure range. Yeah. How can I do that safely? Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things that I've noticed is one of the reasons our members make such big progress in the data kind of thing is because, one, we push them some algorithms that kind of make it those, but 2, they feel safer going closer to failure because they know there's a bunch of tech that's going to help them out.
I wish that everyone, and I think the message is definitely getting out there. Number one, weight training is getting out there for women. That's never going away. This is not a fad. No. This is not like bar or whatever, which those are totally fine. I'm not dissing anything, but there's been some, there's been all of these different trends that kind of come and go or just dissipate. Like strength training is not going away ever. No. It's not. There's never going to be a pill you can take to replicate real work.
They're investing billions of dollars to find it, and they ain't coming up with anything.
Yeah, and it's just like, come on, people, do the work. But I do love one of my favorite features, and I do have a very tall basement where mine is, but I love that you can get the arms up so high because I'm tall and I have really long arms. And so sometimes when I'm doing a pull down at the gym on the cable, it's just not tall enough. So I have to sit on the ground and do it, which isn't the end of the world, but I do like that the arms are so adjustable and that they go out, they go up. There's I don't know how many different settings too.
240 different arm positions.
I cannot even.
There's a lot. But that top bit, right, that stretch is actually really probably important. We're finding more research on a daily basis that kind of says that actually that part is really important in the motion. So I think it's super important for something like a lat pull down. If you do want to build some back muscles, you do need to be able to stretch it out at the top. And that's the portion that we can overload.
Yeah. So can I give you some feedback for Tonal?
Hit me.
I love it.
Consumer support right here.
So
consumer support, they're all done. No.
You're like, well, what are you going to ask? This is being recorded. No, this is just is there a way, and I'm assuming that it comes down to the way that the weights are loaded and you have to have like a baseline somewhere, but the lightest amount of 5 is still for like rotator cuff and some of these smaller exercises that I need women to do is still too heavy. Is there any way in the future that that can be changed, or is it kind of like this is the max with the technology that we have right now?
Yeah, it is true. The 5 pounds is the lightest we currently go, and actually it feels a little heavier because there's a motor to get moving, and inertia works on the opposite way there. So it's more like 8 pounds to start with. I cannot give away a product roadmap, but that is a well-known thing that we would like to add, and are working hard on doing so. So
Okay.
maybe stick around for a little while longer. I can't promise anything, but certainly something we are looking to see how we can address that.
Well, I mean, I assumed it was on the radar. Like this wouldn't be the first time where you're like, "What?
I
Really?"
haven't heard this
And
before.
sort of like sort of rotations, even like lat raises and front raises, those lighter exercises. It's a little heavier than we'd like for some of our membership group, particularly our active aging community, first time beginners, and kind of there. And so, yeah, certainly we are definitely aware of, and
And
yeah,
work.
I cannot confirm or deny if we have features that may enhance that.
No problem. So until then, use bands and dumbbells for those lighter exercises with the tonal if you can't get there.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Okay, so where do they even go to buy? Obviously, you can buy online, but like talk about the space requirements and all of that. So
Yeah. So number one, it's wall mounted, and so you need walls to mount it on. They can be metal studs, wood studs, various different types of concrete. If you went to Tonal, Google Tonal.com or Tonal install, and it will tell you the 1,000 different types of walls that we install in. But you need a wall. Ultimately, you need a 7x7x7 space. So like it falls up. It's 5 inches from the wall, 4 or 5 feet high, and less than 2 feet wide when it's compacted. But once the arms are out, in order to be able to do the full range of motion, it goes up 7 feet high, comes out about 7 feet wide, and then you want about 7 feet in front of you to be able to do all of the exercises. So that's sort of the space requirements. It's works off standard power, so you don't need any special requirements from a power things. You do need a Wi-Fi connection because all of the technology it's monitoring all the time and needs Wi-Fi. In terms of to buy, tonal.com. You can actually buy Best Buy these days, bestbuy.com.
what?
Yeah,
Wow.
partnership.
Nordstrom too, right? Didn't you have something with Nordstrom?
We had with Nordstrom. I think they might have finished now. We had these pop-up stores in Nordstrom's for a long time. We have, I think, 4 or 5 stores across the US in New Jersey. I think we have one, if I'm not things, and maybe in Shaw Mall.
After I moved?
I know.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say you wouldn't have
We're in
to
LA. If you go into Tonal there, we also have like 50 hotels, so you can go in and find hotels that have them.
Awesome.
You go on the Tonal website and you can find them in some hotels. And we're actually working on some pop-ups and some other sort of retail activations right now in the near future. So you can go and try there. Or most people have got a friend that has one. Go and find your friend.
Yeah.
Like that's honestly our best referral or our best sales mechanism is members and referrals. So come to our house in Utah and try it out, or other places. But yeah, those are the main sort of retail stores right now.
I'm coming over to try it. I've always wanted to have a tonal because the very first time I tried it was in a hotel. And so my husband and I were staying, I forget where it was. And I was hooked, and I was just genuinely impressed with the technology. And it really does. You're like, how is this even working? It's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah. Like it's funny. So don't tell my former bosses, but like in 20 years working in elite sport and running all these Olympic teams, I probably spent $10 million on training equipment, probably a little more. I've outkidded some of the world's best training centers around the world. Been really fortunate. Spent way too much money on equipment. And so when I first got told about Tonal and kind of things, and like I knew some of the company and a board member, and we had to go out to LA. It was in 2019 to go and try and in that same sort of retail studio. I sent a staff member. Honestly, under pressure. I sort of like, I felt I had to because there was a board member who was involved. And it's like, home fitness equipment for an Olympic training center? Are you serious? And he sort of sent out this strength coach, like very experienced, great guy. And he tried it and he came back, like, it's legit good.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what? And so, yeah, I was like, I was used to home fitness equipment not being essentially, high quality or
Totally.
fast or around that. And he came back and raved about it. We ended up getting one the first time I tried it. Yeah. But I left a career working with some of the best athletes in the world to come and work for essentially a home fitness company because I think the technology is that good. It is technology that would cost 10 to 20 times the same amount if you were thinking about it from if you went the typical approach, which is like top down, prove it in elite sport, and then work out how you scale to mass consumers. Ali and the team that invented Tonal did the opposite. Is like, how do we make this product that is awesome for general population? And then people like me and the NBA bubble and all these people in elite sport would this is super valuable for us too. Which is a really kind of innovative way to do the business model, and a much better one, to be honest. So you get much more robust software and hardware on a business model that makes sense.
Yeah, it's impressive. Do you have any other accessories coming out that you can talk about other than the 3?
You are asking me to give away the product roadmap.
We want all the secrets.
Similar to 5-pound weight, it's something that we know our members would love, and future iterations are something we are definitely.
Okay.
I cannot confirm or deny if that is on the roadmap.
Okay, fine. There's definitely other accessories.
Would you have any requests, Haley? If we were going to bring out any other accessories, what would you like? Ankle straps?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That probably.
Go in the app when you're add a custom move and call it an ankle strap. So that's the workaround for right now. I will have a word with my product team.
If you have ankle straps,
my clients put the handle on and then turn the handle around because it hurts the ankle, and then I have them put this big heavy sock on so it doesn't hurt, and I make them do all their.
Just buy a T-lock. So we sell accessories. They're just an accessory you can buy on the website. It's called a T-lock. And so then this is just I shouldn't promote another brand, but this is a really good ankle strap, and then you can attach it onto Tonal. So I'm
so mad. I haven't actually looked into it for a while because now most of I still use it for a few clients. I have a gym at my house, but I'm taking most of them to my other gym. But that's incredible because that was kind of the other, where are the other? We need a few more accessories.
You can attach any accessory, any cable-based accessory. So I do sled drags on Tonal. I put on a harness. I do sled drags. Belt squats you can do on Tonal. You want to do
the bear crawl?
Sorry?
Were you doing the bear crawl?
Yeah, I did a bear crawl.
That's amazing.
I didn't think of that one. That's amazing.
Don't tell anyone. You shouldn't say this on a podcast, but I only started an Instagram account to show my product team what our machine was capable of. So I just presented all the stuff hey, these are all the cool things we could do. And they're not all appropriate and not all would be great sellers, but there are infinite possibilities. Essentially, you can add T-lock. I'm a big WhatsApp strap kind of rotational movement kind of things, add a bunch of that kind of stuff. You do that with eccentric overload. It's a unique motor pattern that you can't get anywhere else. So infinite possibilities. 250 moves in the movement library and millions possible outside.
I'm so mad I don't have one. I'm getting one. That's all there is to
you
it.
have to have one.
No, I have to. And I actually feel like we have some equipment, and we have a Peloton and free weights and a bench and just the typical things people have for a home gym. But the things that I miss the very most are face pulls and, all of the different pulling. I feel like it always just changes my body. And and even the glute. Why can't I think of the exercise you're saying with the, and I'm those are the things that I miss, and I'm never going to buy a huge piece of equipment like what you were saying prior to Tonal coming out. Oh my gosh. Okay. If anyone else isn't sold on this after listening,
you got to get one. Everyone has to have one. Let's talk about the warranty. Has the
Yeah.
warranty changed?
I want to say I should know this better, but I want to say it's 2 years parts and labor, or 2 years parts, 1 year labor. I'm not totally sure, but it's on the website, and you can extend it up to 5 years. It's an extended 5 year warranty that you can kind of purchase for an additional kind of piece. Well, so during that 5 years, if anything does go wrong, we'll come out and fix it. I think we've got hundreds of thousands of these out there now. Like we do have some that break, like any piece of equipment,
Yeah.
but it's like sub 1% or something. It's really small amounts.
Wow.
So pretty robust piece of equipment, particularly if you're using it in a home. If you're in a commercial gym setting, it's slightly different situation in terms of usage and wear and tear. But certainly in the home gym situation, if it's within that warranty period or extended warranty period, we would ever come out and fix it whenever if it did break. But yeah, relatively small issues with them so far, thankfully.
Well, I'm going to dive in deeper and say, because at the time, this is why I didn't buy one right away in New Jersey. And I totally get it. This is not me like, you're like, easy, Haley. You're asking for all the secrets. And now you're talking about, but it at the time, again, I've had mine for years now, but I didn't buy it right away because I knew I was going to be moving back to Boulder, and where you could move it in the house and it would still be a warranty. If you moved it into another location, it wouldn't, which I understand, because then
we actually offer I don't know exactly how much it is on the website. It's like $200-$300, somewhere around there, and we will now move it for you. And so you can take it off, and that won't void the warranty. So you can do that.
Much better.
So you can pay a few $100s, and we'll come and reinstall it. And it's primarily because it's the type of thing. It's like a big TV, right? It weighs 150 pounds. You're pulling on it with a fair amount of resistance. So we want to make sure someone hit the walls. If they're handy people like me, I am not the best. My wife will attest to it. It was like, I think that's in the stud. And they're like, now I just took the wall off and kind of thing. So that's the main requirement is we install it for that kind of reason.
Makes sense.
Is so that it doesn't fall off, and we make sure that we have the right guys and girls that install it properly, rather than some home handy men like myself, which is probably less than good.
Well, I love when I purchased mine, that you don't even, again, this could have changed, but you don't even, like, they wouldn't even take my money before you send in a picture of the space in your house, so that you're not like, oh, I'm going to buy one. And then the people come out and they're like, your walls you don't even have enough room. Put this.
We do a pre-stalling survey, and we've actually improved that a whole bunch to try and hey, this is the space that it requires to make sure that it's right for you and it fits for you. And then the team come out, and if it's not installable, we'll refund the money. We have no interest in essentially we exist to try and help people's lives. That's why Tonal was founded, was to yes, we want to have a successful business, but we really believe in helping our members reach their goals is kind of how we have a successful business. So they kind of go hand in hand very much.
Yeah, and it is a white glove service, so I love that too, that they I didn't have to worry about anything.
They took the boxes away for me too.
So nice.
They didn't trust me to install it either. They can't send the team out, so they obviously moved to my wife.
You're like, don't trust Troy. He knows everything else about the sports science, not the install.
Yes, pretty much true right now.
Okay, great. Well, before we wrap it up, anything that you want to share about anything that we haven't talked about as far as benefits, anything coming out, anything that members or anyone listening?
I'd say the only thing that we touched on a little bit, but I'm sort of super keen to share is it's cool to buy a piece of equipment and you hopefully, but there are lots of pieces of equipment that you buy, and even the best of us, I have a tendency to buy lots of fitness equipment. I still do fitness, but I don't do all the equipment that I bought. Don't tell the wife. But I think one of the things is our members. So number one, we have a churn rate, which is how people unsubscribe, of well under 1%. I think it's 0.67%. So you buy this and you keep your moving. And it's not that you're just keeping paying me. The average usage is over 10 times a month, even when you're been on membership for 3 years. If you're still active on Tonal and using it on average, the mean is still more than 10 times a month, even 3 years later. And so for me, I'm like, that's like, I want people using our device. I want people getting stronger, helping them meet their goals, meet their, their fitness aspirations, living long and healthy lives. And what I'm most, satisfied about is, hey, this is not like a one and done. I buy a year, I have to pay a membership for 12 months and then I'm like, it's a clothes hanger. No, the average active member is still using it more than 10 times a month, 3 years later, which I think is a huge testament to how sticky the product is and how engaging the product is. I'd say that was number one. And number two, like, because we get all of this data. So we're just about to pass, I think it might be today, but depends when this podcast released. But we're going to reach, our members are going to lift 200 billion pounds this week.
That's awesome.
Wow.
6 billion reps.
Wow.
It's the numbers are like, all of those are recorded at 50 hertz and 50 times a second. And so every time you lift, we get a little smarter. We improve the algorithms. And I think what you're going to see is sort of game changing around the utilization of that data moving forward to bring even more features that are going to be pretty cool in the next sort of 6-12 months. And number three is, like, you guys know this already and preach this message, but our women, they lift heavy. They lift strong.
Awesome.
The average female member, I think, wants to say, make close to 80% increases in strength in their first year.
Yeah.
And every year, if we look at our membership of what they lifted, the average pounds lifted per workout for our females, it increased about 5 to 10% each year. So they're lifting more each year. So 2020 versus 21 versus 22, you're seeing this increase of people are getting stronger, they're lifting heavier and kind of pushing themselves, which I think is, again, they're using it and they're getting stronger. Those are like win-win. That's the main, I think, things for me.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that you can also customize a program in there, because obviously that helps me.
I was just going to ask about the programming. So you can obviously get on it and just do your own workout, or you can choose like full body workout or upper body. And is that kind of the, like, choose your own, or you have all these options of almost like classes or workouts?
Yeah. So there's really four ways of using the device. There's workouts. There's like 5,000 of that. That's more like a fitness class. You're going up. It's not a program. There's no progression. You're just working. Hey, I want to work my glutes today. Great glutes workout. And there's 5,000 of those. You can do a program which is pre-designed by me, my team, the coaches that you see on there, which is 2 to 4 weeks, where the weights will all be customized to you, but the movements are like the same for everyone. You can replace them. Hey, I don't like lat raises, I want to do front raises instead. You can substitute them, but it's a generic program that's personalized for you for weights. And then you can do free lifting, which is you turn up to the machine, haven't put anything into it, and I just pull and I can select the move or not select the move, and I can pull and just do a workout, and it'll track every rep, every weight, the volume lifted. Or you can maybe do what I'm guessing Haley might do with some clients, is you go onto the app and you can write custom workouts. And so I can go in and I can say, hey, okay, today it's glute bridges followed by RDLs. So I want 1 minute recovery, 2 minute recovery. Like, that's going to be a superset. Not sure why, but for some reason. And then block 2 is going to be something else. And once you press send, it loads onto the Tonal immediately. And so it's there, and all of that weights it. So you can send it to anyone. And now, we used to have it where you could only write for yourself. But now you just share it, text them the link, and it will, as soon as they open it in their app, it opens on Tonal. So those are sort of the 4 ways to use it. And yeah, people use it all of those ways. I use it all of those ways. I write some of my own programs. I write some of the ones that the team are doing. We do these 4-week fast track, which is like a big community challenge. Something like 30,000 members sign up to it in for one kind of thing. So you're doing the same program as 30,000 other people, which is obviously creates a ton of social engagement.
That's fun.
So I tend to do those. And then I'll do my own programs. I like to do some of my own funky sled drags or whatever I'm doing on Tonal, and sort of do those.
You have some moves you're like, don't try this at home.
My legal team does make me write a disclaimer that this requires third-party accessories, and this is not approved by the fit.
Yeah.
The legal team has to be in there. I mean, I know that.
It's so funny.
So this would be my last podcast interview before I'm terminated from my job.
So another thing, because I get asked this question too. I have women from, I don't even know how many countries. what countries are like, can you buy Tonal?
Yeah, we're in US only right now.
Okay.
We have plans to expand. It's just a bit challenging setting up all that kind of thing. So another hold this space. Nothing imminent there, but hopefully we will make it at least to Canada and some other places in some time in the future. But yeah, just very tricky setting up businesses, the install process and working through that kind of things, and then actually data servicing and like having remote service and all that. So lots of work go into that. So no imminent plans, but we certainly know we would love to be in some other countries and are investigating options, but nothing that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Canada is the first one. My Canadian clients are pissed every time. They're like, "Will you talk us into this? We can't get it." I'm like, I know, but
Tell them to head to, I think, Yonge and Bay. We have an office there. They got some Tonals they sneaked in.
Oh, I like it.
Great. Love it. Well, all right. So if people have questions, is it best to go to tonal.com or can they reach out to you on Instagram? How do you
like, general questions about the product or you want to know more, I would say tonal.com is kind of the easiest or most informative kind of place to go there. The Tonal Instagram account has lots of member stories, so you can see how people are using it. You can even go into the Facebook community as a prospective member, so you can sign up there and you can see what our members are genuinely saying about this product around there. For myself, you can reach out to me at Strength Science Troy on Instagram and Troy Taylor on LinkedIn, and I basically just show crazy training stuff, some science and some training stuff, all about Tonal mostly.
Okay.
I love it.
Perfect. Well, such a valuable conversation. And again, I don't ever promote anything that I haven't personally used or that I think is maybe not necessary, because women are sold 9 million products all the time. And we're the cash cow. We're the ones with money in this age group. But I'm a firm believer in Tonal, and I've loved it. And it's, man, if you have the space and you can, save up some finances, I know that finances are kind of different for everyone, and I'm sensitive to that. It is such a great piece of equipment to have for the rest of your life. So I appreciate you coming on and talking about this option for women. I mean, I know it's for men too, but specific for our audience. So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure being here. 45% of our members are women, are female. So like in the strength training industry, that's like, we would love it to be 50-50 or closer, but like 45% of our members are women. So definitely a strong community from the female audience too. So thanks so much for having me on.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, thanks, Troy.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving us a 5-star rating and sharing the Body Pod with your friends.
Until next time.